Hello everyone. Today we will see what is client server model and we will understand what is HTTP protocol. Let's begin with client server model. Client server model is very basic model but very important one. To understand this, let's go through this chapter. The client server model is a distributed application structure that partitions task or workload between the providers of resources or services called server. So here it is clear what is server. Server is something or someone who provides a resource or service is called server. A service requesters called client. So service requesters are called client. In the client server architecture, when the client computer sends a request for data to server through internet, the server accepts the requested process and delivers the data packets requested back to client. What does it mean? It, it is very simple stuff. There is a client, there is a server. Server is someone who is providing some service. Okay, my client asks something. Let's say, give me some web page. If server will respond to this request. That's it. That is the entire essence of client server model. Let's see how does client server model work. In this article, we are going to take a dive into client server model and have look at how the internet works via web browsers. Let's understand first client. When we talk about the word client, it means to talk of a person or organization using a particular service. Client is someone who is using particular service. Clear? In similarly, in digital world, client is a computer. Host is a capable of receiving information or using a particular service from the service provider, that is server. Again, let's see. You have your computer. You say, I want to see, let's say this article. You want to see this entire chapter in Skillanything. What you do? You go to Skillanything website, locate this article and open it. So basically what is happening when you are opening the web page, actually your browser is sending the request to the client. So sorry, to the server. So here your browser, your computer is a client and skillanything.com is a server, and you are asking for data. You are asking for data, and that data is loading. That means server is sending that data. Servers, similarly, when we talk about a word server, it means person or medium that serves something. Similarly, in digital world, a server is a remote computer which provides information or access to particular service. So it's basically the client requesting something and server serving it as long as it's present in the database. So client can be anything, right? Your mobile phone, your laptop, your personal computers, anything. And same server serves all of them. Now let's understand how browser interact with server. User enters URL, that is uniform resource locator. That is the location of resource you want from the server. What does it mean? Here is the www.skillanything.com. What you want? You want client server model and HTTP. This chapter or this web page consisting of the data or this chapter, right? So what you enter? You enter skillanything.com/lesson/introduction to IoT protocol and networking. So this entire thing, you are locating your resources, right? So this is nothing but the URL. This is nothing but the URL where to find the resource. You want to go to the Skillanything homepage. What you do? Skillanything.com, just slash. Slash means slash, nothing after slash. So this is the first page. This is the home page. This is the location of home page. Slash. Okay. I hope you understood what is URL, Uniform Resource Locator. Now let's read this also. User enters URL, Uniform Resource Locator of the website or file. The browser then requests DNS, domain name system server. Now let's go to next point. DNS server look up for address of web server. DNS server responds with IP address of web server. Browser sends over an HTTPS request to web server's IP provided by DNS server. This server sends over necessary file of website. Browser then render the file and website is displayed. This rendering is done with the help of DOM, that is document object model. Interpreter, CSS interpreter, and JS engine, collectively known as JIT, just-in-time compiler. So let's understand what is happening here. You enter this URL. Basically, you enter this URL in your browser. This is the client, this is your browser. How it happens? URL and domain name is not an unique address. It is not an unique address. It is not an IP. IP is different from domain name. And in internet, the servers and every nodes are indicated and located by IP addresses. This is trouble. Here DNS comes into picture. There is some server known as DNS. DNS consisting of the lookup tables. In lookup tables, what we have? It is basically a key value pair kind of model. Here we have one side all the domain names, and here we have all the IP address corresponding to that domain name. For an example, I am saying www.skillanything.com. What does DNS do? DNS search. Where is this skillanything.com? So there must be some IP associated with this skillanything.com. It returns that IP back to browser. So from DNS server, we got the IP. Now we got the IP, then we can exactly send the request to this particular IP address, that server which is located to this particular IP address. Then I send the request on this IP. I say, okay, listen, server, I want some resources. I want some web page, some data, which is located at address of that data is lesson introduction to IoT protocol and networking / client server model. Then server also see, here it got that request. Server also see, okay, do I have anything like this? Answer is yes. Then server responds back with the web page or whatever form. Okay. So I hope now you are pretty clear how client server model works. Now let's see advantages of client server model. Centralized system with all data in single place. Cost efficiency requires less maintenance cost and data recovery is possible. The capacity of client and server can be changed separately. Disadvantages of client server model. Clients are prone to viruses and worms if present in the server or uploaded into server. What does it mean? I am a client. I am requesting something. It is possible, no? That server sends virus. Possible. So clients are prone to viruses. Servers are prone to denial of service attack, DOS. I would appreciate if you go through this. DOS attack is like client is again and again sending the request. Data packets may be spoofed and modified during the transmission. So it is happening in between network. In network, there are multiple network devices. In any of the network devices, there could be some modification can be done. Data packets may be, yeah, phishing or capturing login credentials or other useful information of the users are common. And MITM, man in the middle attacks, are common. Basically, what happens? Client is sending the data request to the server, but this request is going via the network. If anyone tap to that network, they can access the information. Though nowadays we have HTTPS to ensure there is no tapping and other security measures are taken on client and server side. Now let's see HTTP protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is invented by Tim Berners. Hypertext is a type of text which is typically coded with the help of some standard coding language called hypertext markup language. HTTP2 is a successor version of HTTP, which was published on 2015. HTTP3 is a latest version of HTTP, which is published in 2022. The protocols that are used to transfer hypertext between two computers is known as hypertext transfer protocol. HTTP provides a standard between web browser and web server to establish communication. It is a set of rules for transferring data from one computer to another. Data such as text, images, and other multimedia files are shared on World Wide Web. Whenever a web user opens their web browser, user indirectly use HTTP. It is an application protocol which is used for distributed collaborative hypermedia information system. How does it work? After the server sends the data to client, the connection will be closed. If we want something else from the server, we should have to reestablish the connection. So basically what is happening, it is similar to client server protocol, HTTP. There are some two things in HTTP. There is one is the client, one is the server. So client sends a request. Client sends a request. That request is known as HTTP request. So in the HTTP request also, there are multiple parts. There is header, there is request body. Okay, in a header, we provide the addresses and some other parameters like parameter maps, and body we provide the data regarding the request, and server sends the response. So server also have response also have some header and some body. Okay. From the response, data is been extracted and displayed on our browser. We already know somewhat history of HTTP. If you want, you can go through it. It will give you a clearer picture. The most recent one is HTTP 3.0 and most used one is HTTP 2.0. Nowadays, no one use above versions. Advantage. Memory usage and CPU usage are low because of less simultaneous connections. Since there are few TCP connections, hence network connection is less. Since handshake is done at initial connection stage, then latency is reduced because there is no further need of handshaking for subsequent request. The error can be reported without closing the connection. HTTP allows HTTP pipelining of request or response. Disadvantages. HTTP required high power to establish the connection and transfer the data. Because it is part of TCP, we need handshaking and all this stuff. HTTP is less secure because it does not use any encryption method like HTTPS use TLS to encrypt normal HTTP request and responses. HTTP is not optimized for cellular phones and it is too gabby. HTTP does not offer genuine exchange of data because it is less secure. Client does not close connections until it receives complete data from server and hence server need to wait for data completion and cannot be available for other clients during this time. So I hope you understood. In case you have any other doubt and especially this final disadvantages, it might sound like at a time only one client can contact to one server. It is not true actually. Okay. Server do have the capability of handling multiple clients at the same time. There are some upper limits like server can handle only 4 client or 5 client or 100 client at a time. So I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, any questions, please reach out to me. You can put your comments in comment section or even better in the Skillanything website. Go to this particular chapter, read it. Still you have any doubt, put it on the comment section of the chapter. Our TA will reach out to you. That's it for this video. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.